let's, oops, that's not what we want. We want Maya 2016. I know 2 of you started using Maya 2016 last quarter. What about the rest of you? Were 2015 or 16? What about with 2016? That's all I'm asking. Okay. So we're waiting for it to open up. And it's going to take a second. All right. Let's set a couple of things up. It's running a little bit slow. Let's give it a second. All right. All right. And that's just because I didn't click my mud box. We're not using mud box. All right. So what we want to do is we're going to go to undos. We're going to set it to infinite. All right. Let's create a new project window. We're going to name this Hawkins, and we're going to name this, this is our trophy setup. Accept. And the file that we're going to get is going to be on the media drive. Eventually, everything will be hybrid media drive and Google Drive. However, you're required, and this is where some people failed previous classes with me, to turn your work in both on Google Drive and the Submit Drive. I grade from the Submit Drive. I do not download and grade from Google Drive. So if I don't see it on the Submit Drive, you didn't turn it in. Does everyone understand that? If you turn it on the Google Drive, like you were away and you needed to get it in to turn it on the Google Drive, that next day, make sure you turn it in on the Submit drive. Does everyone understand that? All right, because this is kind of your first and last warning. Turn it in on both. Do not turn it on one. You will lose points. And if I can't find it, I didn't get it. Doesn't matter if you turn it in or not. I have to be able to get my hands on it easily. Okay, so we created our project directory, and I think I created it somewhere that I didn't want it to be, so I'm going to change this. Yeah, this is in documents. I don't want my stuff in documents. I'm going to move this later. Yes, right there. What I want to copy is the trophy model. Now, what we need to do first is we're going to reference the trophy model into this scene. So create reference, trophy model, reference. And it's going to be fairly big, just because of the size of the files we created, and that's fine. So view, select camera. I'm going to change some of my camera settings. Control A. And then we'll crease our far clip plane. Alright. So this is the trophy model. And what we're going to do is create a very simple rig that's going to allow us to tilt and spin the model based upon our controls and grouping. So the first thing we need to do is let's go ahead and we're going to create a NURB circle. We're going to scale it up. We're going to delete our history. We're going to modify, freeze our transformations. And we're going to name this Trophy Controls. And actually, we need to be a little bit more consistent. Underscore con. Con is short for controls. Now, if we're looking at this thing, let's go to our views, top down, and let's do something else. Let's display, show all. Because our cameras are really small because I didn't set the scale of the scene. I'm going to show it all and then make them bigger so we can see them. I'm going to move this up. Move that back. Move that there. View, select camera. And there we go. So we have a couple functions here. We have our tilt, and to see where our pivot points for our geometry is going to go, I am going to create a locator. I'm going to scale this up. And wireframe. And we want to move it about right here. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to hold down the V key and I'm going to snap it to one of these points here because I have to make contact with the ground. So I snapped it to one of the points on the base of this model, so that once it tilts, it's going to look like it made contact. Now, if we look at it, that should be, if we use our grid, and we see the T, it should line up with our grid. All right? And then what I can do is Control G, duplicate special, and that's going to be along, and Control G is create a group, negative scale, so that's on the other side of the trophy. And we're going to name this, this is our, if we're looking at this, this is our LT pivot. I'm sorry, this is our RT pivot. And this is our LT pivot. Now, if I freeze my transformations or my locators, well, let's get them out of these groups first. Control P. And if I freeze my transformations, they go back to their original size, because that's what locators do. They don't keep the scale that you have. But I don't mind the scale. Oh, that's something new. Oh, okay, I see. I'm looking at it from here, and I'm thinking that it went in, but I'm looking at the wrong circumference. Never mind. All right, so they don't maintain their scale. I want this clean, but my scale for this object, I don't matter with this because I'm just using these as reference points. Does everybody understand that? The next thing I'm going to do, let's clean this up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my trophy model, and I'm going to group it. 2, 3, 4. About 4 times. Maybe one more for good measure. There we go.
So you're grouping with the locator?
No, I am not grouping with the locators. I just selected it and grouped it to itself.
Alright.
We're going to name this, actually, our world group. That's the first one. This group right here where the trophy is, that's going to be our geo group. Now, if you look closely, all of our pivot points are in the center of the world. They start out 0 for those groups, and that's fine. This first one, and let's name this our right pivot. And let's name this one our left pivot. The right pivot, we're going to go to insert mode, so Shift insert key. And what I'm going to do is I am going to hold down the V key, and I'm going to snap. Well, let's get this out of here first. I'm going to unparent. I'm going to snap my pivot point to this locator here. And we can actually hide the geometry for right now. And I'm just holding down the V key, the hotkey, to snap the point. We're going to do the same thing with the LT. I'm going to take it and snap it to my left pivot point as well. And let's parent this back here. Now, and let's show our geometry. So right now, if we rotate this along Z, it pivots, and then we do the same thing with L, it pivots. But there's one more thing that we need to do. So we're able to have this pivot along the right side and left side, but what I want to be able to do is make this spin. I want to be able to take this, if I pivot this, I want this to be able to make it spin around in a circle. So let's figure out what does that need to do. So if I, and I'm going to take this out of here for right now, if I take this group and let's say we snap it to an edge, and let's backtrack for a second. Alright, if I take this group, oh, that's right. Let's take this out. If I take this and I pick an edge to go to a pivot, when I do that and then start to rotate the group, we can start to get a little bit of a tilt. But it's not quite what we want. And actually, I'm doing this a little bit backwards. I'm going to make a quick change. I'm going to change up my hierarchy. My geo is going to go here. I'm going to get rid of this group. And I'm going to go ahead and just pivot on my RT pivot. I'm going to just group that to itself, which groups everything else. And then that's my main pivot. And then let's see what happens. And then we rotate this. It actually rotates around that center, which is what we want. And then we want to make the glass kind of like, no, it rotates around the center, which is what we want. Now, the only other thing we might want to do is make the glass, the cup, the chalice, whatever, spin. So if I rotate this again, and we have this, and it's rotating along here, my geo group, its pivot point hasn't changed, and I can use that to spin. I kind of want my geo group to be clean, so this is what we're going to do. Is we're going to take this and we're just going to group it to itself. And it went to where it thought 0 is. I'm going to change that. Actually, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to create an empty group. Take this, parent this to my null group, and then move my null group underneath my pivot and rename my null group spin. And we'll name this one rotate. So we have our roll group, our rotate group, our two pivots, our spin, and our geometry group. Does everybody understand it? I can't make the screen any bigger. Sorry. But is world group